Hello and welcome to This One Thing, a daily devotion brought to you from First Presbyterian Church. Today is Monday, June 8th, 2020. I cannot believe we're 6 months into the year. My name is Chandler Gelb and I am the Director of Youth and College Ministries at First Presbyterian Church. Nick Merchant is out of town for the next 2 weeks, and he asked if I would be willing and able to participate in our daily devotion, and I was excited to be able to do it. When I was reading through the scriptures that were for today, I immediately was stopped by the first one, Psalm 62. Now, it is a long one, but it is beautiful, and I encourage you to click the link in our description to be able to read the whole thing. But as I was reading it, I was really stuck on one word, which is silence. Now, if you don't know me, hello. And if you do, you know that I have a bit of a big, loud personality. Now, when Patrick first came to our church, he had us complete the Myers-Briggs assessment. It's a personality assessment that lists your strengths and weaknesses, how you process information, and how you communicate. Now, my Myers-Briggs was really no surprise to me. I am what they call an ENTP, which means I am the debater. I like to talk. I like to conversate with people. I like to have sometimes, I don't want to call them arguments, but I really love to dive in and have really good conversations. I'm a talker for sure. And this week has really been one where I haven't done as much talking. This week has been a week where I've had to take a step back and I've had to listen. I've had to listen to the news. I've had to listen to my students and our families. I've had to listen to my friends around the country. There's a lot going on, as we're all aware, and it can be really easy to dive into the conversation. But I found this week that there's been a lot of fruit by sitting back and listening to people. I know that listening is something that I've had to work on my whole life. I was that child that regularly heard that, Chandler, we were given 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we could listen twice as much as we talk. And it's something that I still always work on. But this week, listening has brought so much clarity into my life. Typically, I externally process. I process by talking through things. But this week, by being able to listen to my students share their experiences, their families and their friends share about what it's like to live in America right now for them, has really humbled me and allowed me to take a moment to hear them. Listening is a spiritual practice. Maybe for you it comes natural, but for me it doesn't. It's something that I've had to pray on and work on. And not only listening to the people in my life, but listening to God. I have to train my ears to hear him. I have to slow down to be able to hear what's going on, to hear what he's asking me to do. Now, the scripture that I'm using from our daily comment and lectionary, as I said, is from Psalm 62. I'm going to read just a couple verses to you. So, verses 5-7, and it says, "For God alone my soul waits in silence, for my hope is in him. He alone is my rock and my salvation, my fortress. I shall not be shaken. On God rests my deliverance and my honor, my mighty rock. My refuge is in God." Now, when I read this, it repeats the first verse 5, quite a bit in Psalm 62. It repeats, "For God alone my soul waits in silence." Silence for me can be very uncomfortable. Even when I'm in the car or at home, I usually like having something on. And I have found that silence is where God speaks. I'm sure we're all familiar, where God is this still, small voice. We need to make ourselves silent. We need to be able to hear him, especially now with everything going on. We need to be able to still ourselves, to wait in silence, and to listen to him. I know that I talk to God a whole bunch, all the time, constantly praying. But sometimes I pray and then I walk away and continue about my life. And maybe you're the same way. And my encouragement to you is to be silent sometimes. The one thing that we need to do today, my one encouragement, the one thing is to sit in silence with God today. Still your thoughts, your questions, and just be present with God. Be silent. Maybe it's difficult. Maybe it's for 30 seconds. Maybe you can do it for a couple minutes. But make time today to be still and silent and listen to what God is saying in your life. I promise you it will not be time wasted. You will feel refreshed because God is our refuge, and that's where we want to be. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful Monday and a wonderful week.